This is the Jedburgh podcast. I'm the creator and host, Fran Racioppi. Each episode, I speak with transformative leaders, visionaries, drivers of change, and those dedicated to winning, no matter the challenge. The Jedburgh podcast is founded in the lineage of the special operations Jedburgh teams of the past and is produced in partnership with Talent War Group, a management consulting and executive search firm focused on helping you optimize the people side of your business. We're sponsored by Jersey Mike's Subs. Together, we share the mission of giving, making a difference in someone's life. Visit the Jedburgh podcast, Talent War Group, and Jersey Mike's Subs on the web and on social media. A percentage of all proceeds is dedicated to the Special Operations Warrior Foundation. Country music is full of megastars like Shania Twain, Toby Keith, Brooks and Dunn, and Carrie Underwood. But every multi-platinum recording artist began their journey with one song. Then they took a leap of faith, moved to Nashville, and hit the Broadway live music scene to earn a spot on Music Row. For this episode, I leapt down to Music City to spend the day with up-and-coming recording artist Mary Heather Hickman. We met at the famed RCA Studios and recorded our Jedburgh podcast conversation in the rooms that built Elvis, Waylon, Dolly, and Merle. Mary Heather is an impressive young singer-songwriter who's rapidly showing the country scene that the next generation of leaders ready to take the guitar. Her recent tracks Treasure and Baptist Parking Lot have both gone viral, earning hundreds of thousands of downloads and millions of views on social media. A fellow communications major from Alabama, Mary Heather and I discuss her entry into country music, her road to Nashville, her process for writing from the heart, the daily grind of watching your music career come to fruition but spending nights working at a restaurant to pay the bills, and her battle with diabetes. Mary Heather hit the iTunes Country Top 10 with her Don't Mess with Texas style. She's opened for Toby Keith, Eli Young, Hank Williams Jr. She's played at ATT Stadium, so naturally, I challenged her to describe her mentors and role models, and also explain what happened to the Cowboys this year. Mary Heather not only shared her story and her lessons on building a career in country music, but she gave my team and I a solo concert, including a sneak peek of an upcoming yet-to-be-released track and her newest hit, Baptist Parking Lot, which hit radio on February 14th. Take a listen to our conversation and stay tuned until the end to hear for yourself. Mary Heather, welcome to the Jedburgh podcast.
Thank you so much for having me.
We're on location today in Nashville.
Yes.
We are at the famed RCA Studios on Music Row, and we have a crowd.
We do.
Which I think we had a small crowd for the Travis Holman episode, but not like this. We have Wes from Redline, the manager. We have Jenny, our marketing coordinator, came down and is keeping us on track, and we have Emily Sandberg Gold is in the building.
Yes.
The legendary star of episode 5 on the Jedburgh podcast, and so close to everything that we do here. But it is an honor to sit here with you today.
It's an honor to be here. I'm so thankful that you asked me to be on this podcast. I've been looking forward to it for sure. So
when I came to the team with this episode, everybody jumped in. It was immediate. Like, you have to do this right now. Like, we had no choice because we spend a lot of time on the podcast talking about leaders who have already achieved so much. And a lot of them are in the middle or a lot have been on the back end of their career. We have not shared that many stories of the people who are on the front end, what I'm calling the next generation of leaders, the ones who have maybe even listened to some of our people who've been on previous episodes and said, I'm going to apply this. I'm going to apply it to what I'm doing, and I want to grow, and I want to do better, and I want to be a stronger individual, team, and organization. For those who listen to the podcast regularly, they also know that I love country music. Okay, even though I'm from Boston.
Hey, we welcome you with open arms here in the country music world. Country music is for everybody.
There were two things that I took away from my time in the military very early on that I didn't know because I grew up in New England. And one, I never knew what country music was. It used to be called country and western.
Yeah.
And the other was NASCAR.
Oh, hey, I've recently picked up some NASCAR. Like, I don't know anything about it, but I do enjoy going to the races. So
it's awesome.
It is. It's exciting. It's fast paced. What's not to love?
We're going to do a couple of NASCAR episodes.
Oh, I can't wait to hear those.
But let's talk about you for a minute.
Okay.
Top 10 on the iTunes country charts. Hundreds of thousands of streams of your most recent songs, millions of views on social media. Your newest single, Baptist Parking Lot's going to radio a couple of days before this episode's going to air. So for everyone listening, they can check it out right now.
Yes.
It's going to be out. Yet, you still work in a restaurant to make ends meet. You still call your parents every day. Your Christmas wish is to still win a CMA.
Yes.
So there's so much that's still grounding you and so far to go. And you just told me before we started this that you've been nominated for a series of Arkansas Music Awards.
I did. I was lucky enough. I found out this morning that I was nominated for 3 different Arkansas Country Music Awards, which is a big honor because it's my home state. So that's really exciting.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
I can't wait for the follow-up.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about what happened on the back end of those. But we talk about vision. We talk about character. We talk about the drive to win no matter the challenge. This building is full of that.
Yeah, it definitely feels kind of magical every time I'm in the RCA building, just knowing the people that have been here before, you know.
You were born in El Dorado, Arkansas. You moved to Texas at 5.
Mm-hmm.
By 10, you were playing in small operas across Texas.
Yeah.
Music affects us all in so many different ways. Why were you initially drawn to music?
I think there was, well, I'm trying to think. I might have just liked attention to start with. I don't know. I was the firstborn. I grew up listening to country music. Both my parents are, that's kind of really all we listened to. Maybe a little bit of classic rock here and there too. But the big stuff I remember listening to in the car was like Willie Nelson and Johnny Cash and Merle Haggard. And then I think what first initially drew me to country music actually was listening to the Dixie Chicks, the Wide Open Spaces album.
Great album.
Yes, the Chicks, sorry now. But
Chicks, that's right.
Yes, but I remember like my mom having that CD playing in the car and asking her to just every time the CD would end, like, okay, like, can we like start it over? Particularly the song I Can Love You Better. I was little at the time, like probably 4 or 5, and I could sing all the words. So I don't know, I guess like kind of being around that influenced me. And then I loved being in front of people. I loved getting up on like the fireplace at Christmas and performing for all of my family. But it wasn't until I did a talent show in 4th grade that my parents actually realized that I had some talent. I think it was when they saw the comparison of me to the other kids that were my age that I was, now by no means was it a great performance, but I was able to get up and sing all the words and be pretty much on, pretty on key. And that was when they started putting me in the operas and different things like that. And they never like forced me to do it or anything. I loved it. Like it was a fire that was like lit under me, and I always wanted to be on stage. So
singing comes naturally.
Yes.
But musical instruments is something that you've had to work at. And you play a variety of them.
Yeah, but I always say like I can play a little guitar, I can play a little piano, but I would never call myself a guitarist or a pianist or anything like that. I play enough to accompany myself and get by, but it's something that I definitely have to work at. It doesn't come naturally the way that singing and songwriting always has. So. And
you're still working on it to this day. I just saw you posted about it, I think, like last night.
Yeah, I try to practice, and even like with guitar, I hate doing bar chords and things like that, but I try to force myself to, if I'm writing a song with somebody and they were like, a bar chord would sound really good here, I'm just like, okay, well, what is it? And I try to practice it and learn it because I think you should always be trying to get better,
In episode 24, we spoke with Lauren Snapp about the power of country music. Lauren Snapp was on Country Music Television.
Yes.
It was a nighttime radio show with Cody Allen. They actually went on after our episode. I don't think we can take credit for it, certainly for getting the word out, but it was an honor to have her on. They ended up winning a CMA for that show, and now she has her own show called Pop Crush. But Lauren said that country music is not only a genre of music, but it is a human genre.
Yeah.
And she described that meaning that there's no script for country music. There's no how-to book on what an artist has to look like, what they have to talk about, the story they have to tell. In country, you can lose everything. You can be the best tequila drinker. Men drink whiskey and horses drink beer. Like, you can live forever. You can die a lonely death. You can be a cowboy. You can get the girl. You can forget your last name. You can pick up trash and call it treasure.
There you go.
Which you might know something about.
Unfortunately, I know way too much about that.
But the stories are endless. But so many of them are written from a personal level of
Yes.
the artist. When you looked at wanting to get into music, why country music?
I think it is that personal level and the vulnerability that a lot of country music brings. I also think the type of country music that I grew up listening to, it's all about telling a story. And if you listen to a lot of my songs, you'll find a common theme is that they tell stories, or they're kind of like a start to finish thing, and it's like a whole experience in a song. That always like drew me to country music, is that a lot of it is so lyric driven, and I've always loved writing, even, just creative writing stories, those kind of things. So that, and also being where I'm from, with the prevalence of country music in Texas and Arkansas. Yeah, like it was a natural choice. And I have this, country accent. So I think it felt very natural to go into the country space for sure.
As a senior in high school, you competed on The Voice.
Yes.
You credit that experience as a turning point that, quote, created a spark in me to pursue music more seriously.
Mm-hmm.
Can you talk about that experience, what happened on the show, and what was that fire that was lit in you to pursue this as a career as a result of it?
Yeah. I think before I did The Voice, I'd always loved singing. I'd always loved writing, but I'd never seen anybody do music as a career. Like, nobody that I knew. The only people that I knew that were doing music as a career were like, Miranda Lambert, or the people that had already made it. I'd never seen people actively working to get there. And so I auditioned for The Voice in the summer of 2013. I just turned 18, and somehow made it onto, The Voice has a pretty lengthy audition process, and I made it all the way through to where I was actually considered a contestant on season 6. And I stayed in Los Angeles for 2 months. I roomed with a girl from Nashville that was had a publishing deal, and it really opened my eyes to just the fact that there were people that were doing music and making it work. And also,
a roadmap that
it was like, okay, I see that these people are doing it. Like, I've always wanted to do that. Why can't I take that leap and give it a shot? So I will say it's funny, because I was coming out of a pretty bad year in high school, to be honest. And I was very not confident in who I was, or even just music. But I think the stars kind of aligned. And even though I didn't make it onto the actual show, when I returned home, I felt like kind of a different person. I was in college at the time, or just kind of starting my freshman year of college, and it became less about everything else that was going on, and more about, okay, how do I get to Nashville? Because I want to get my degree, and then I want to get to Nashville, and I want to work on music, and I want to give this a real shot. So
you grew up in a close family.
Yes. Yeah.
I think you said that your parents were a little bit strict.
Yeah. I say they're easygoing, but they always had an eye on what me and my siblings were doing. It wasn't
you weren't fooling them.
Yeah, it wasn't free reign, do whatever you want. I would even try to pull the I'm going over to my friends for a sleepover, and they're like, yeah, okay, sure. They're not. So they were. I'm glad that they were, because that's probably a good thing that they cared about what I was doing.
Well, now you write a little bit about it.
Yeah.
You said that your dad was the most hardworking person that you know. Your brother screens your new songs and gives you the honest feedback.
He does.
Your sister's an interior designer, and you guys share that
Mm-hmm.
artistic passion. Talk about growing up, though, a little bit more, and the influence that your dad had on you in working hard.
Yeah, I think both my parents, I have seen work super, super hard. We came from a small town in Arkansas where my dad managed a hunting store. We moved to Texas. He started a new career, eventually went to building his own business, and I have seen him work so hard and kind of come from nothing. And I was lucky growing up that I was never in a situation where I was worried about like having food on the table or anything like that. But my parents really, really instilled in me that anything worth doing is worth like working hard at, and hard work builds character, you know? So I grew up in a suburb of Dallas where a lot of my friends were handed a credit card and said, you know, put whatever you want on it. And that was not the case. I always had a job from when I was 15 years old. And it was like, if you want something, you have to put in the work. And at the time, I probably was a little resentful about it, especially in comparison to like some of what I saw my friends doing. But I'm so thankful for it now because that has carried through to my career as well. And just in my personal life in general. I like to think I'm a hard worker, so.
I spent the flight yesterday listening to a number of your songs. So if you see a bump on your stats,
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Know that myself, Emily, and Jenny listen to a whole bunch of your songs a whole lot of times.
I love it.
But you write your own songs.
Yes.
We spoke about why you chose country, what drives your love of music. You credit your dad, though, with influencing you to write, saying that, quote, I remember writing songs when I was really young because my dad always told me, if you want to be a country music singer, you have to write your own songs.
Yeah.
Can you talk about your process of songwriting? Because we hear about songwriters who, you know, some of them will say, it took me 7-8 months to write this song, and others say, you know, I was sitting at a restaurant and I grabbed the napkin and I wrote the whole song while I sat there. What's your process?
I've had both experiences. I have songs that I've written in 15 minutes, like start to finish, very little editing. And then I have songs like actually Treasure that in a way took several like months to write. Or there was a piece of it written, and I'm very much like, all of my songs, I'm very like meticulous about them making sense. So I don't like anything that doesn't, it's like, okay, what is the central idea and how does this line relate to that? And did we already say this? Because if we already said it, we shouldn't say it again. Like, that's kind of my thought process. So yeah, I don't know. I guess I'm very meticulous about like just everything adding up. That's a big thing for me.
How do you choose what you want to write about?
A lot of it is personal experience. For example, Treasure is from some dating mishaps or my, what I like to call constant need to fix people. Or think that I can.
Fix people.
Yeah, think that I can fix people.
You learn as you get older.
Yeah.
Most people can't be fixed.
Yeah, well, that's like really, if somebody has a lot of problems, I'm like, let me get my hands on you. But then other stuff is like story songs. So like I have a song called Washita River. Obviously that one is about killing someone and throwing them in the river. So that's not true. I just want to go on record saying that's not a personal.
Well, the Dixie Chicks did Earl.
Exactly, and I grew up listening to the Dixie Chicks, so you know you get inspiration from that. So sometimes it's a personal experience. Sometimes somebody just says something, and I'm like, ooh, that sounds like I could make that into a song. Or sometimes it's literally just making stories up as I go. I also, like I said, I loved like creative writing and all that when I was younger. So I think a lot of that kind of feeds into the songwriting process too, like just making stories up. And, you know, you only have so many personal experiences you can draw from. Eventually, you got to source out other material too.
Well, you studied communication when you went to college.
Yes.
So we shared that bond the other day when we spoke, because I was a journalism major.
Yes.
In episode 10, we spoke with an organizational psychologist called Dr. Alan Echtenkamp. And Alan talks about the message. When you study journalism and communication, it's all about the theory behind communicating a message, right?
Yeah.
And there's 3 parts to it. There's the sender, the receiver, and the message itself. What have you taken away? Because you just spoke about the clarity of the story, not repeating yourself. What do you take away from studying journalism and communication that has now helped you to become a better songwriter?
Well, I think in journalism, one of the things that we often talked about was kind of writing in a way that everybody can understand, regardless of like background or, you know, like you kind of, when you're writing for journalism, you want to write it in the most like concise way.
That's why they start with obituaries.
Yeah.
Like, why do I have to write 900 obituaries? And it's like, well, because you have to communicate their whole life
in a
about
short
200
paragraph.
words, 100 words.
Exactly. I think, hey, if songwriting doesn't work out, maybe obituaries is my calling. So I think that has definitely translated into my songwriting and maybe why it is such, like, anybody that ever gets in a writing room with me knows that, like, I'm going to be annoying about it making sense. Like, I will be the person that will scratch a whole verse because I'm like, this is repeating the same thing we've already said. This doesn't add anything to the message. Like, and sometimes my co-writers are like, oh my gosh, Mary Heather, we spent 2 hours writing this verse and now you want to scrap the whole thing. And I'm like, and then I'll do the like, well, I'm probably not going to put it out if it doesn't make sense. So
right, at the end of the day, we're going to do it.
I'm just going to let you guys know if I'm probably not going to do anything with the song unless it makes sense and is, you know, unique and says something that I would say. I don't know. So,
well, there's a discipline behind that level of being meticulous.
Yeah.
Right. And when you have that attention to detail, like you spoke about being forward, being in these competitions, right? And if you look at it, is those details that set apart the elite, the highest performers. I mean, we have so many conversations here. I work with so many organizations on the development of their teams and their individuals, and so many times it comes down to the preparation, the work that you put in on the front end. Do you have a standard that you're unwilling to compromise?
Yeah, I definitely do. When it comes to like a finished song, though, I feel like for me, it's always kind of like a gut feeling more than anything. Like, but I also know that my songwriting, I write every single day. And I know, like, as I've lived in Nashville and learned from other co-writers and things like that, like, I've just gotten better overall at writing and at saying things in a creative way because I think I put in the practice behind it. So when it comes to, like, a finished song, I always kind of just, like, every song that I've ever put out, I've left the right knowing that I want to put the song out and that I'm excited about it. And I usually sit with them for a couple months, too, before I end up going into the studio and recording them, just to make sure that excitement stays. Because I want to be just as excited about Baptist Parking Lot as I was the day that I wrote it and left the room and was like, I'm so excited about this song and I want to put the song out.
Yeah, which is important. I mean, look at our artists like Guns N' Roses who still plays. John Bon Jovi they still.
Yeah, these
play
are going to be the songs that you have to sing for the rest of your life. So.
You said, quote, don't chase trends because you think that's what's going to get you somewhere. Be very authentic and write about things you know about or tell a story that you have to tell. Mm-hmm. What do you mean by that?
I think that a lot of, in this day and age, we see so much on like social media and we see...
It's everywhere. You can't...
Yeah, we see what's working for one
worst
person.
45 minutes of my day.
Yeah. We see what's working for somebody else. And it's easy to just like want to emulate that because you're like, that's working for that person. But I think when it comes to music, I think fans can tell when you're being true to yourself or when you're just like, for example, I know a lot of people on TikTok are like, this TikTok worked for somebody else, so like I'm going to try it, but it doesn't go over the same way because the one person was doing it like authentically and then it's clear this person's just trying to get a viral video. I don't know.
Well, they have people who go on TikTok and they produce these videos that talk about and it starts with, if you want your video to go viral, do this. Trust me, I've tried it. It doesn't work.
Yeah, no, because I think everybody can see. I think people are smarter than sometimes people give them credit for. Like I feel like there's something about it that comes off as like inauthentic and maybe not, because obviously there's probably an exception to this, but I think as a general rule, like I've always tried to do things in my own way and it seemed to work for me. Okay. So.
Well, let's talk about that.
Yeah.
Let's talk about your style. Your style has been described as sassy, irreverent, don't mess with Texas. What does that mean?
I think that means that I will say whatever's on my mind and not be afraid to say it. There's like times in rights where, you know, I've said a line and people are like, ooh, are you sure you want to say that? Or can you say that? And I'm like, that's what I want. That's what I want to say. So
say
yes.
whatever I want.
Yeah. I mean, or like people are like, would you say that? I'm like, yeah, I just said it. Of course I'll say it in a song if I said it in the room. And yeah, I think it's just about being honest, or, you know, sometimes I've had some one-liners that maybe are a little like risque or scandalous, and I'm not afraid to throw those in a song. And even like with Treasure, for example, there's a line in the song, it's at the bridge, and it's like the liars, the losers, the one too many shot of whiskey doers, the prescription pill abusers. There's a big kind of, not back and forth, but Stephanie, who co-wrote the song with me, was like, I don't know if we can put prescription pill abusers in a song if we want it to ever go to radio. I don't think radio is going to play that. And I'm like, it works so perfect for the song, though, and it is so like accurate. I think it's what the song needs. So we kept it in there, and we didn't really get much pushback from radio on that line. So I think sometimes like taking that risk pays off. I don't know.
I think it worked.
Pretty proud of getting that line on radio.
I want to ask you about your peers in the pop genre of music.
Yeah.
And I feel like some of their music is depressing. It really. And my daughter
listens to it. It's like this sad pop.
It's
vibe.
sad,
Mm-hmm.
and yet it's huge.
Yeah.
And it has become the standard almost now. And yet these songs come on, and it's all about how they've been wronged, or how, you know, how bad life is. And I look at this and I'm like, you're 18, 20 years old. You don't even know what life has to come. And yet you're speaking about how depressing life is to you. But then I listen to your music.
Yeah.
And I listen to country music. And even when it's about something that's difficult or terrible, there's always this uplifting vibe that gives you hope and see opportunity. Why do you think that is?
I don't know. I think maybe traditionally in country, like there's always that kind of silver lining thing, or that little like piece of, like, even just like some of the most depressing songs, there is this like little like piece of hopefulness there. I'm not exactly sure why that is, what the difference is between why that's present in country music and not pop. But I feel like it has always been that way in a way. I don't know. Yeah. I wish I had a better answer for you, but I'm really not sure. I'm glad that country music has a little bit of a hopefulness to it, though. Or maybe even like, you know, there's even some songs, like if you think about, I'm trying to think one of the most depressing songs in country music, He Stopped Loving Her Today, George Jones. That's a sad song. It's got a beautiful melody, though, and then there's also this kind of like sweetness to it, right? Because it's about this guy that has always held on to this love. So I think there's something kind of like, it's sad, but it's also hopeful. I don't know.
I always reference Rascal Flatts' song, if you play a country song backwards, where you get everything
back.
you
get everything back.
You get your money back, your car back, everything comes back
I love
to you.
that.
In college, you had a band.
Yeah, I did, yes.
Mary Heather and the Sinners.
Mm-hmm.
And you've also had the opportunity to play to open for Eli Young Band, Hank Williams Jr., Brad Paisley, no big deal.
Yeah.
On any of those, right? Carrie Underwood gave you a shout out on her iHeartRadio station when they debuted Treasure. We're sitting, as we mentioned, in the most iconic country music studio that sits in the world. Mm-hmm. The walls are covered with so many memories, and we're going to put so many visuals out there for this episode, and I can't wait to show that. When you sit here and you think about where you've come from, where we are today, sitting in this studio, talking about the future, the opportunity that sits here. I remember a little known artist who now goes by the name of Taylor Swift, when she opened for Rascal Flatts long ago. Yeah. And she came out and everyone's like, who the hell's Taylor Swift? Like, where's Rascal Flatts?
I know,
out here, right?
You
know, and now it's, amazing, right, what she's done in her career. When you look around, how do you feel?
Man, I try to just remember to take it all in. I think my life sometimes is so busy and so fast paced that it's easy to forget about where I came from. Actually, the other day I sent Wes a video of my first like open mic performance in Nashville. Had never co-written a song, was just doing all of my like songs that I had written in college and came to Nashville, and it really, that like looking at that kind of made me a little bit sentimental to just think about how far I have come, like not only in just like career wise, but also in songwriting on a personal level, like how much I've grown in the past 4.5 years since I moved to Nashville. So I try to like take a little bit of time every now and then to stop worrying about what's next and instead be thankful for what I have and what I have accomplished, because some of the things that have happened to me are so crazy, and I have to remind myself, like, there's people out there that are like that. This is like their peak moment, you know, or not their peak, or like there's people that are like, that could be my peak. That would be the biggest thing ever to happen for me. And I have to like think about that and be grateful and appreciate it. And then I, you know, get on to what's next. But
focus on next.
Yeah. I try to take some time every now and then to just think about all the good things that have happened and give myself a little time to be proud of myself.
Who's influenced you in the industry? Who do you look at as a role model, a mentor, and say, yep, that person has set the standard?
One of my biggest influences is definitely Loretta Lynn. I actually listened to a great podcast. For country music fans, I don't want to shout out. Can I shout out another podcast?
Yes, please do.
Okay, the podcast is called Cocaine and Rhinestones, and it kind of like takes you through it's all different types of things. Like, you know, they do have an episode on like Harper Valley PTA and the process that getting that song recorded was. And anyway, they had an episode on Loretta Lynn that I listened to last year, and it just talked about how, first of all, she kind of came from nothing too. And it talked about how a lot of her songs were actually banned on radio because she was a woman, and talking about things like birth control and, you know, things that were definitely taboo at the time. And radio tried to like ban a lot of her songs, but she ended up using that to her advantage. So she knew a song was going to get banned, but because that song was banned on radio, people were going to buy more records. And I think that is so cool that she was able to like take adversity and like almost use it to her advantage. And not to mention, she's such an amazing songwriter and just talented voice, classy, graceful. So she's definitely somebody that I look up to a lot.
You never go it alone.
No.
You're building, even if you're a singer-songwriter. We talk to athletes who are, play individual sports, but they're not individual sports. There's a whole apparatus and support structure that sits behind you and them. We call it team ability. Teamwork is one of our core characteristics of performance that we talk about a lot. There's also the concept of the tribe, those that you surround yourself with. You're very close with your friend and fellow songwriter, Stephanie Joyce. You said you guys were actually one of the Arkansas Awards.
We did. We got nominated as a duo, which is funny because we're not really a duo, but we do have one song that we put out as a duet. So, but yeah, she's one of my closest friends and closest colleagues too. So,
what do you look for in your team?
Well, I like to. One thing I like to do is know what I'm good at and what I'm not good at. I think knowing what I'm not good at has been more helpful to my career than anything else. I know that I'm creative. I know I can, write a decent song. I know I'm terribly unorganized and very type B. So bringing in somebody like my manager, Wes Mayers, has been such a blessing, and I think I can attribute a lot of my success in the past couple months just to Wes being on top of everything and saying, hey, we have to get this done. We need to do this for your website, or like we need everything for the song completed by this date. I have always been someone that has tried to be organized, and I can like kind of do it on my own, but I know that's one of my weaknesses. So having people like Wes in my life, people like Classic 77, they help me with all of my social media, which I'm also not very good at. Mainly, I'm good at TikTok because that's just me singing and uploading videos, but things like Instagram, where, you know, I think a lot of people in the industry say you need to post every single day. That's not something I love doing. So I have a team there that helps me with that. My parents keep me very humble and grounded. So I have a lot of, and my amazing co-writers that help me bring song ideas to life. And there's so many people that I would certainly not be where I am without.
Adversity is something that all high performers face. Every successful person tells you that at some point in their career, whether it was personal or professional in their lives, they've dealt with something.
Mm-hmm.
You spoke about a difficult senior year that you had. We had an opportunity in previous episodes to talk about with Travis Holman, who's actually in Dallas and in Texas. But Travis Holman he's the CEO of Holman Lockers.
Oh, cool.
They built the locker room for the Dallas Cowboys. But,
oh, very nice.
number one locker company in the world. He was confined to a wheelchair.
Oh
as
my
a kid.
gosh.
He was told he would never walk when he was in third grade. He had dyslexia to the point that his teachers told him that he was the dumbest kid they'd ever taught. We spoke also with Richard Hanbury. Richard Hanbury is the founder and CEO of Sauna Health. They've developed a device that helps train neural pathways to reduce pain. But Richard was in a car accident at 19 and lost the use of his legs when he drove his car off a cliff off a bridge in Yemen.
Oh my gosh.
Jessie Graff is another one we spoke to from American Ninja Warrior, and the stunt woman who has endless amount of injuries, and she has come back stronger from every one of those. But you battled and continue to battle type 1 diabetes. You were diagnosed at age 4.
Mm-hmm.
You said that, quote, diabetes doesn't define me, but it has played a huge role in shaping me into the person I am today. Can you talk a bit more about that?
Yes. So, like you said, I was diagnosed when I was 4 years old, so I don't know much of a life without type 1 diabetes. And for a good portion of the first part of my life, I was mainly when my parents were the ones in control of like giving me my insulin and making sure I test my blood sugar. For that portion of my life, my diabetes was always in really, really good control. Getting into middle school and high school, I started really being resentful of the fact that I had diabetes and constantly would be like, why me? Like, why am I the one that has to struggle? I used to get embarrassed about taking insulin shots in front of my friends. So around the high school time, I just stopped doing it. I stopped
altogether.
I would not take insulin. I wouldn't test my blood sugar. I'd basically just like acted like I didn't have it.
What did that do to you?
I was sick all the time. I was constantly like, it would be like basically the way my doctor described it at the time is that I was keeping myself kind of on the borderline of like death, basically, which is very dramatic, but it's true. I would, because I wouldn't test my blood sugar. I wouldn't take insulin. Then I would come home when I was by myself and I would take insulin to bring my blood sugar back down from like the high level that it had been. It's kind of keeping myself out of hospital range, I guess. And a lot of that, and then, you know, I would try to like take insulin in front of my friends and they'd be like, it's not even like they were like bullying me about it, but it was just like the attention. I didn't like that type of attention. I wanted to be known as like cool or popular, not the girl with like diabetes. So, it got so bad to the point of my senior year that I was hospitalized, and I had like lost a bunch of hair because I was in poor health. I'd gained a bit of weight, so my peers were making fun of me. It was the worst. I can, like, to this day, like, I can still get emotional about it because it was the worst year of my life. And I really felt like I didn't have any friends. I was kind of in like a group in high school that would, I guess, be kind of considered the popular group, but I was never like the popular girl. I was always the one that was like trying to be in the group. But I was like also the weird songwriter. So I don't know why I thought that was the group that I was going to fit in. But I was sitting in the hospital, and basically my parents are like crying because I've been doing this at this point for like 4.5 years. And I just was like, what do I have to lose? Like, I have no friends. This is horrible. Like, I'm sick all the time. My parents are crying. Like, I have to figure something out. And so I just decided, like, I don't care. At this point, I don't care anymore. And I started, like, taking my health seriously. And once I started, I had been not taking care of myself so long that I didn't realize what it felt like to be normal and, like, what it felt like to have normal blood sugars. And I realized I was in such a better mood. I had motivation to do things. Like, everything kind of came together when my health was in check. And so I've just kind of like held on to that feeling. And also I think there's nothing to be ashamed of. It's not like it's anything that I can help, you know? It's not like I would like ask to have diabetes. And I always thought people cared more than they do. And now I just kind of like, it's a casual thing. I'm like, yeah, I have diabetes. I wear an insulin pump. It's just part of my life. And if that's not in check, I can't do the other things that I want to do, which is songwriting and music and performing and all of that. So it's a big priority for me now to make sure that that's in check.
And you've become a strong advocate about it.
Yes.
Which I think is really
important. I think every person that is like in adolescence going through diabetes kind of goes through, maybe not as severe of a phase that I went through, but everybody goes through some kind of struggle. So I want them to know that, you know, it doesn't have to be like a struggle, and it's not that big of a deal.
The other day, you posted a video of you working at a restaurant. We brought it up a couple of times, but it's on Instagram, and the caption read, "Nothing more humbling than having a song in the top 10 iTunes country charts, then having to go work your server job the next day and scrape food off random people's plates because you still got to pay the bills."
Yeah.
Too often we think about the path to achievement and success as this easy road.
Yeah.
You look around the walls here, and it's so easy to fall into the trap of, wow, they just made it. But everybody knows that's not the reality. At least people who are grounded know that that's not the reality. A couple episodes ago, we spoke with Steven Nyman, 3-time World Cup champion in downhill skiing, 3-time Olympian. He spent a lot of time talking about his road to the top. And he said it was, quote, a step-by-step goals, and I just reached for it and pushed for it every single year. I've been on a grit kick. I'll tell you that before we started. Since 2022 began, we've spoken about it in almost every episode this year. But it's the ability to dig deep, push through, find a way to get it done. In episode 41, author and former Navy SEAL Rich Davini defined grit, and he said it was a combination of courage, perseverance, adaptability, and resilience. Where are you right now when you think about this dichotomy? You look at your career, and it's so easy to wake up and say, I'm at the front end of this thing. My dreams are starting to be real. I'm so excited, but wait, I got to go to this job because I'm not going to be able to pay my bills if I don't.
I think most people in Nashville have some sort of like side hustle that we're all working to make music work, you know? I work at a restaurant so that I can write during the day, and I'm thankful that I only have to work a few days a week in order to cover what I need to bill-wise, and then that allows me to pursue music more like full-time, I guess. So yeah, it's just like, it's kind of one of those things. It's like, you got to do what you got to do to make it work. And I think, again, it kind of goes back to that like hard work thing that my parents instilled. Certainly this is not the easy path. I could definitely have gone and used my degree and had like a real, quote unquote, real job.
That's not an easy path. Yeah. That's just as hard as
but like maybe more traditional, at least with, you know, those kind of jobs. There is like, at least the thing with music is there's no guarantee that you're going to have a job, right? Like, there's no guarantee for success there. So I guess I mean easy more in the sense of, like, you know, that it's more secure, maybe?
You have control.
Yeah, more
control. You have
there's
control.
There's so many variables in music that have to come together for anybody to be able to, like, make money at doing music.
I told you there was going to be a test question.
Oh, no.
I didn't give you the test question. But it kind of ties into this. When you think about your day and you think about what it takes to get your name and your cover on the walls of this building one day, how would you define courage, perseverance, adaptability, and resilience?
I think I would define, like, courage as just, well, it kind of goes back to that grit thing, like having, like, it's almost like a leap of faith and trusting yourself and, like, knowing your abilities enough to, like, take that chance that it's going to work out, right? Like, that takes some courage, I would think.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Every day.
Yeah.
Every day you got to be willing to do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Willing to do it and willing to, like, put yourself out there. And also just, like, it takes a little bit of faith and just, like, knowing that, you know, if you work hard, hopefully it's going to work out in the long run. I don't know.
What do you tell all of the little girls who follow you on TikTok and other social media, and they look up to you and they say, I can't wait until that's me one day?
First I say, well, I'm probably not the best role model, but I
asked for my daughter because my daughter said that. So.
Well, that's so sweet. I say that I hope I am an example that you can do it, and that you can, like, take that leap of faith to do something that is not maybe the path that, like, all of your peers are going down. Like, it was when I told all my friends from home that I was moving to Nashville to do music, they thought I was insane. Like, I think so. I would like to just be, like, the person that if, you know, somebody wants to do music, or not even music, just something, like, to follow their passion. Like, don't think you have to take the traditional way to do that. Yeah, I think everyone should, like, find what gets them excited every day and chase that.
When you think about what's ahead,
mm-hmm.
more notoriety, hopefully tremendous amount of fame for you comes down the road. It's so easy often to get caught up in it, become consumed, become what Lucas Foster in the previous episode, an Olympic snowboarder. He's competing this year in the Olympics as a rookie on the U.S. snowboard team. But one of the things he talks about is the fact that he looked around at these people he idolized when he made the team, and all of a sudden they're too cool for school. They forget about everybody else. They forget about the impact. They forget about their position as a mentor and a role model. How do you plan to stay grounded and stay humble as you go down this path?
Yeah, I think for me, staying humble is about, a big thing is just keeping people around me who will humble me. That would be people, people like Wes, people like my parents that, you know, will keep me in check and say, like, remember where you came from. I do think in the music industry, a lot of times you get a little bit of success and then you get all these, like, yes men around you because they just want to, like, they think you're some kind of star or something and they just want to, like, do whatever you say or, like, agree with whatever you say. And I hope that people in my life will continue to call me out when I'm wrong or tell me when I'm not being humble. And so, yeah, I think it's just, and also just, like, kind of staying true to, like, my roots, making sure I go home to Arkansas every now and then, spend some days in Morro Bay and get away from all the craziness. I think that helps too. But I would say majority of staying humble is, remembering all the work that I put in to get here and, like, also helping other people that are trying to do the same thing, like extending a hand out when I can and keeping good people around me. I think that's the key to humbleness.
Can we talk about football for a minute?
Yes. What do we want to? What in football? What football questions?
Well, we have to talk about the Dallas Cowboys. So you wrote a song about the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, actually, that is my one song that I did not write that I have cut. Mm-hmm.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's a phrase in there, if I can ask about it.
Yeah. Okay.
Where you said that it's Jerry's world. And it's controversial right now, right? Because it has always remained Jerry's world. Mm-hmm. So my question for you, because you've played at AT&T Stadium.
Yes.
You're a big fan of the Dallas Cowboys.
Yes.
Maybe America's team. It's certainly not my team because...
we'll forgive you. It's fine.
So we're not going to talk about the overtime loss this year.
Oh, no.
Somehow.
Break my heart.
How that happened. But my question about the Dallas Cowboys is what happened this year?
Oh my gosh.
And what has to change for next year? Because every year it's the same thing.
I think you're asking the same question that everybody else is asking. If I had the answer, I think I might be hired.
You might be the coach.
I know, I might be the coach. I don't know. I will say it's sometimes very heartbreaking to be a Cowboys fan. I'm also a Razorback fan, so I'm no stranger to heartbreak in football. I wish I knew. I think if I knew, I might. If I had the key to the success for the Cowboys, I wouldn't be in music. I'd be coaching the team. But I wish I knew. I'd love to. The last time the Cowboys went to the Super Bowl, I think I was like, maybe it might have been when I was born, like the year that I was. Yeah. I was 1 year old. So I just want to say I would love to be able to see the Cowboys in a Super Bowl sometime that I actually remember. And I'm going to leave it at that because I don't know anything else. I don't know how we can fix it, but I hope we do.
Well, when you're ready to convert to the New England Patriots, you just let me know.
Oh, no.
We'll send you some gear.
My sister's boyfriend is a big Patriots fan. He's from Rhode Island, and we give him a lot of... I don't want to cuss, but we give a lot of trouble for his team affiliations. Yeah, we like to talk about Deflategate and all that.
Oh, never happened. Mm-hmm. Fake news. So Baptist parking lot.
Yes.
Going to radio, February 14th, a couple of days before we launched this. What does that mean?
Yes. So the song is impacting radio, which means that it will be played on like the kind of small local stations all over the country, which is super exciting. That's how my manager found me, is through, like we did the same thing with Treasure. So yeah, it's going to radio on Valentine's Day. Perfect Valentine's song, Baptist Parking Lot. And it's exciting because that means we get to hopefully go and do some radio tour, and I get to go meet those stations and thank them for playing the song, which is always exciting. And then it's also cool because like a lot of my fans like will reach out and be like, I found your song through the radio, or like I knew the song already and I just heard it on my local radio station. So that's super exciting.
What's up? What else is on the horizon for 2022? What do we have to look forward to?
I think more music. Hopefully at some point I would love to put out like an album. There's some songs that I really want to put out that I don't think are things I would put out as a single, but I would love for people to be able to hear. So eventually an album. You never know. I would love to hopefully sign a record deal or a publishing deal at some point if it's the right fit. So I hope that could be in the horizon too. And maybe at some point getting to quit the restaurant job. As much as I love everybody there, I would love to be able to walk in one day and say, I don't need to do this anymore.
Wes is in the background over here smiling, so I don't know if I'm sure he realizes now, but we've given him the checklist.
Yeah.
We've given him the to-do list.
Yeah, Wes, work on it.
That's his list for 2022. There you go, Wes. Mary Heather, as we close out, the Jedburghs had to do 3 things every day in their plight in World War II to be successful as core foundational tasks. They had to be able to shoot, they had to be able to move, they had to be able to communicate. If they did these tasks with the utmost precision, they could focus their attention on larger challenges that came their way. What are the 3 things that you do every day in your world as foundational tasks to be successful?
I like to, start every day with a list because, like I said earlier, I am extremely unorganized. So to try to combat that, I try to write out my plan of what I need to get done for the day. And I find on the days that I do that, they run a lot more smoothly. I write every day, whether that be writing a song on my own or just song ideas, or if I don't feel like writing any songs, then I make sure I just journal maybe what happened that day. And I think that helps a lot. I mean, for other people, it might be, meditating or whatever, but just something that kind of gets the creativity going helps me to be successful, especially in this career for me. And I love to also make sure that every day I am taking a few moments to do something just for me. Because I think sometimes it's very easy to get caught up in the hecticness, especially in this type of lifestyle. So lately I've been implementing, whether that's just taking time to watch a TV show that I want to watch for 30 minutes. I feel much less stressed out if I take a little bit of time, or even if it's just walking my dog, something simple that isn't music related or business related. It just helps me stay way less stressed out, I guess.
Make lists to stay organized, write every day, and find a few moments of me time.
Yes.
Excellent, Wes.
Thank you.
In our episodes, we talk about the 9 characteristics of performance as defined by Special Operations Command: drive, resiliency, adaptability, humility, integrity, curiosity, team ability, effective intelligence, and emotional strength. High performers display all of these in their quest. We've talked about almost all of these here to a point today.
Yes.
And what I do at the end of these podcasts is I give one to my guests that through the conversation I think that they display the most of, even though you have them all.
Oh, thank you.
But for you, I think about drive, and I think about this need for achievement, this growth mindset, be better today than you were yesterday, this constant need to learn more. We talked about learning instruments. We talked about writing every day. We talked about building a team around you. We talked about the resiliency, but even in resiliency, you have to have a drive to keep going when you're faced with challenges. We talked about your restaurant job and being grounded and humble, and the fact that you can wake up every day and say, just like you said, this is what I have to do. And can I devote myself every day to push myself forward to achieve this goal that I've set out? It's so commendable.
Thank you.
You have embarked on what I believe is going to be the front end of a very prosperous and great career.
That means a lot. Thank you.
I'm so thankful that you took time out of your busy day to spend it with me and my team. We wish you the most success. We'll be watching you. We'll be promoting you. We will be looking to follow up soon on what is to come.
I would love that so much. Thank you so much for having me. This has been so great, and I'm so glad y'all got to come to Nashville and do this in person. And yeah, I'm just very thankful to be a guest on this podcast. I've listened to some other episodes, and it's truly an honor. So.
Well, thank you. And thank you, Wes and Redline Entertainment, for having us. Thank you to the RCA Studios here on Music Row. Couldn't be more appreciative to the opportunity that we've had today. And we'll see you soon.
Thank you. Most days I don't think about you. I got a million other things to do. Put on mascara, put my hair up, get on with my life. I found a new favorite coffee shop. It's not the same as our old spot. I'm doing better, yeah, you never I don't know where to look. I was like, do I look at the camera? I look over here at you guys? I don't know.
That was awesome.
Thank you.
That was great.
That was really nice. Thank you for sharing that.
Wow.
This is my new single. It's called Baptist Parking Lot. I wrote this with Stephanie Joyce and Alex Schofield. Making the most of what we've got in the back of that Baptist parking lot. Hey. I tell Mama every Wednesday night I'm going out to church. I cross my heart and dot my eyes, but she don't know won't hurt. We'll let the town think what they want about this homecoming queen. Underneath this Bible belt, there's another side of me. In the back of that Baptist parking lot, in the bed of his Chevrolet. Pass the bottle, take a shot, wash our sins away. It's a little white line no one's ever gonna find, just across the county line, making the most of what we've got in the back of that Baptist parking lot. Keeps a tall tale secret, only the good Lord knows. If that tall white steeple ever tells our secrets, have mercy on my soul. In the back of that Baptist parking lot, in the back of that Baptist parking lot, hey, in the back of that Baptist parking lot, in the bed of his Chevrolet. Pass the bottle, take a shot, wash our sins away. It's a little white line no one's ever gonna find, just across the county line, making the most of what we've got in the back of that Baptist parking lot. Yeah, we're making the most of what we've got in the back of that Baptist parking lot. A couple one-liners in there that I don't know, like. Thanks.
American Jedburghs went on to form the foundation of the United States Special Forces and the Special Activities Directorate of the Central Intelligence Agency. Thanks for listening to the Jedburgh Podcast. I'm your creator and host, Fran Racioppi. Join us next week for a new episode on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Check us out on YouTube for full episodes, highlights, and other behind-the-scenes content. If you like what you heard, give us a like and leave a review. Follow me, Fran Racioppi, Talent War Group, and our sponsor Jersey Mike Subs on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter. Send your comments and inquiries to media@talentwargroup.com. As former members of Special Operations Forces, the Jedburgh Podcast and Talent War Group contribute a percentage of all profits to Special Operations Warrior Foundation, supporting the families of our fallen warriors. Thanks for joining us on this episode. How you prepare today determines success tomorrow.